I'm Addict Mickey. Can we give Velma another round of applause? All right, it's an honor for me to introduce the next speaker. The next speaker is a friend of mine. Next speaker is my sponsor. We go way back. And like Velma was saying, if you don't think you have the best sponsor, then you need to find another one. I got the best sponsor. The brother has helped me not only in my recovery, but in life, as well as helping a number of other people. And without further ado, from New Jersey, I'd like to introduce my sponsor, Ousmane. I'm a recovering addict. My name's Ousmane. I begin by thanking Almighty God for cherishing me and sustaining me and getting me here to Buffalo. I thank Michael Kopic, Michael C., who I love dearly, for giving me this opportunity to keep what I have by giving it away. I want to thank our previous speaker, Velma. Thank you so much. From the 314. I love your energy. And I'm grateful to have this opportunity to share on sponsorship. This is an extremely important topic, and I'm honored and privileged to have been asked to share my experience, strength, and hope on sponsorship. When I came into recovery, I remember coming into recovery some time ago, and there was a friend of mine named Francois, and he said, "You've got to go to the VA hospital in East Orange. You got to meet this guy named Hilton. Hilton's dying. And I really want you to meet him because he's a hell of a guy." And I said, fine, and we went up to the VA to meet Hilton. And immediately I was impressed by the fact that although he was dying, he was more concerned with how I was doing than his condition. And he said, "How you doing? How's your recovery?" And I went on a nice little cliche run. I had learned some sloganese. So I told him, just for the day, through the grace of God, I'll keep coming back a day at a time and blah, blah, blah. And, I'm going to get me a sponsor. And he said, "Hold it. Let me straighten you out on a few things." He said, "Sponsorship is real important. in recovery. Sponsorship is one of the most important steps that you can take in this recovery process. If you need major surgery, you need to camp out on your sponsor's doorstep. But anybody could put a Band-Aid on a cut. He said, I suggest you get a home group because very often a newcomer is sponsored by the group, like it talks about in What Can I Do on page 55. Get a home group so that you can go and listen for a sponsor, and in the meantime, sponsorship is implied and informal in its approach. He said, what you need to listen for is somebody who is reasonably happy. You need to know what to look for in a sponsor. Because when the blind lead the blind, they both wind up in the ditch. First and foremost, find somebody who is reasonably happy. Understand that the goal of this thing is to get happy, joyous, and free, spiritually refreshed and glad to be alive. We come in here for our spirits to wake up. You're looking for somebody who is spiritually fit, whose spirit is awakened. Look for the signs of a spiritual awakening. Look for somebody who's learned how to laugh. Learn how to laugh at life, is not too morbidly serious, and most importantly, has learned how to laugh at himself. Look for somebody who breaks out in frequent attacks of smiling. Find somebody who finds great joy and beauty in their surroundings. Gravitate towards somebody who's happy to play his hand. He's not looking for somebody else's hand. Not so much concerned with what happens around him and to him. Looks at things that happen as happening for them. And get one sponsor. It talks about it on page 88 in the Just for the Day. Get one sponsor. And let that be a NA sponsor. Don't be in Narcotics Anonymous with a sponsor from the Thirsty Club. When we talk about get a sponsor, we're talking about a Narcotics Anonymous sponsor. We're talking about somebody who knows the program, familiar with these principles. And so I learned to listen for a sponsor. And I got a good home group in Newark, New Jersey at the time. And like it talks about in the sponsorship IP, there was a lot of tough love in that group, the Double Trouble group. Members weren't beyond telling you, shut up. Shut up. Sit your ass down on the intensive care row. Learn to identify, not compare. They told me this wasn't about misfits judging other misfits. Come in here and learn how to practice regardless of age, race, creed, religion, lack of religion. If anybody start trying to talk about their higher power, who they, just shut up. Ain't nobody ask you who you choose to call your God. A lot of licenses being taken in that area today. A lot of times people act like it's truly all right. But doors can slam shut or ease shut silently. And you can't even hear the sound of a mind closing down. Especially that newer member who's looking for a reason to disqualify himself up on out of here. So if you start talking about Jesus Christ and he's into Allah, his mind closes down. If you start talking about Allah and he's into Buddha or Hare Krishna or whoever, their minds can shut down. When I talk about sponsorship, I'm talking about a composite because I've had more than one. So I'm not singling any one out, but I'm just going to tell you what I learned from sponsorship. I learned from sponsorship that I didn't get the privilege of thinking back till step 10. So nobody was impressed with what I thought. They said, you don't consistently make good decisions. Your thinking is distorted. Stop buying your own commercials. Nonsense still makes good sense to you. Half the time you dead wrong thinking you're dead right. Follow some good orderly direction. Learn to make meetings for real. Don't just do drive-bys. And if you raise your hand to share, have something to say. Don't be raising your hand just to pee in everybody's ear. I remember once I was angry, and I shared angry. And after the meeting, my sponsor came up to me and he said, "Did you enjoy that high?" He said, anger is a lack of responsibility. You're responsible for your recovery. That's a disturbing realization when you're new, because you want to blame Lottie-Dottie and everybody for your circumstances. It's one of the disturbing It's one of the disturbing realizations we talk about on page, I think it's 15, you know. We can no longer blame people, places, and things for our situation. We're responsible for our recovery. Sponsor says, I don't care what you feel. Everybody wants to share about what they feel. I feel. You know, addicts are the most sensitive people in the world. If everybody else is an AM dial, we FM dials. So all you got to do is tap us a little bit, and we into all kind of feelings. And my sponsor said, I'm not interested in how you feel. If that's the case, you wasting some valuable get high time. That's the horse you rode up in here on, trying to feel good 24/7. Ain't that something, how you feel? Put your thinking and your feeling on the shelf for a while. Learn to do what we do. Pray, don't pick up and make a meeting. And work some steps, and you'll get better. So how do I know when I need to change sponsors? Because sometimes you need to change sponsors. People don't like to talk about that. because we all come in here with different degrees of sickness and rates of recovery. You can come in here with a sponsor who's appropriate for you at that particular given time, only to look up and find that you've shot past your sponsor. You don't want to admit it, but your sponsor done fell off like a bad bag of dope. Hey, you just booting to be booting. What do you do? What do you do? I went to experienced members, and I got some good information. They told me, listen, the test is, are your needs getting met? That's the only test. Ask yourself, are your needs getting met? You can't have a scenario where you were willing to put more principles in your active addiction than recovery. Because the beautiful truth is that when using, if I went to Flacco's, and instead of Flacco answering the door, Mrs. Flacco answered the door and said, "You know Flacco no here." So where you at? I don't know nothing. You can't wait. I don't know nothing. When he coming back? I don't know nothing. Maybe today, maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow, next week. I don't know nothing. I said, see you later, Miss Flacco. I'm going to find Paco. No explanation. Tell your husband thank you so much for all he's given me, but I have to get my needs met. Sometimes people say, well, what do you tell a sponsor if you're moving on? You tell them thank you. You've been a blessing. You've been very good to me. Couldn't have made it without you. Now I'm going to bust a move. And that's it. That's it, that's all. I want to talk about some things that are real important for sponsorship. I made some notes. I can't find none of them. But I want to go someplace with this topic of sponsorship. I want to talk about some real important parts of sponsorship and that's having to do with the importance of orientation. Over the door of the air traffic controller school is a sign that says it's all in the approach. If you come in too fast, you can crash and burn. And if you're not careful, you can overshoot the runway. And it's the same thing with sponsorship. It's all in the approach. What do I mean by that? One of the most important things a sponsor is supposed to do is make sure you understand that in here we have a disease and not a moral deficiency. It's a shame to see people, men and women, been around recovering for years, acting like they have a moral deficiency. The first thing flies out of their face when they meet somebody is, I'm John, you know I'm an addict, right? I tell you I'm an addict, I'm Betty and I'm an addict. Normal people don't do that. They don't say, how do you do, I'm Fred, and you know I'm asthmatic, right? Did I tell you that? No. Huh? My name is Sam and I'm epileptic. I mention that because that's how important it is to understand the difference between having a disease and having a moral deficiency. And that's one of the chief reasons why some people get in recovery and after many, many years of recovery are still stuck like Chuck in the thrilling days of yesteryear. On page 1 in the flat book, it asks a very important question. It says, what makes us addicts? And it says it's not the drugs. There's something wrong being here forever and still talking about drugs. You've been in here since Carter made liver pills, still sharing about drugs. If drugs was the answer, what is the question? And don't get my little qualification twisted. We know what happens if you go out of here and you pick up drugs. All right, we got that. Anybody ain't clear about that? But that's not what makes me an addict. I got proof. Because recovery, sponsorship, sanity, all of these are fluid concepts. This is not the kind of camp where you come in here and wake up one day and you all recovered up with an ED on the end. Wake up and find yourself a power greater than yourself. All of a sudden, one day, you no longer fit the literature. You don't need to make meetings no more. All you got to do is go look in the mirror and say, go on, share. These are fluid concepts we're talking about. And part of sponsorship is making sure your sponsees know that they don't mess around and choose door number 1 or door number 2. There's a reason why they say money, property, and prestige don't equal recovery. There's a reason why they say clean time doesn't equal recovery. There's a reason why they say social acceptability doesn't equal recovery. Because nothing equals recovery. You mess around in here and think, when I get this and I get that, if I could get it, there's no it to get. Everybody in here, if they search their memory, can recall thinking, you know, if I could just get enough money, man, I'll show you something. That's really all I need. Only to get money and lose your monkey mind. Oh, if I could just have her. Oh, my God. God, you know this is your look. Just give me her. I won't bother you no more. Just give me him. Get him and realize this just wasn't it. If I could just get that position, ooh wee buddy, there's no it to get. And part of sponsorship is ensuring that your sponsees understand that this is just one beautiful journey. And it's all a question of how you live this journey. And that the drugs were just the most obvious symptom of this disease we talk about. A good sponsor won't let you go to jail on your behavior. A lot of times you go to meeting and people want to get up on a soapbox and think they're entitled to some special kind of anointing because I've been married for 20 years and I ain't going outside my marriage or this and that. So what? Big deal. My point is there's no model for the recovering addict. There's room in here for every single manifestation of us. Our real value is being ourselves. We don't come in here and stand for non-existent virtues. And regardless of what somebody's particular slant on something is, there's no two classes of addicts. That's basic third tradition. Ain't no two classes of addicts. So, what am I saying? The person who is a monk and never has sex, and the person who's fucking like a bunny rabbit is the same person. Because they both concentrating on sex. They're just coming at it from different ends of the spectrum. So there's no point in coming in here and thinking that you can be entitled to some kind of special award because of how you choose to live your life. In fact, going back to page 1 in the flat book, it says what makes us addicts is not our behavior. I remember doing a 4th step, and I'm going to get to that too. That's important. But I remember early in the game doing a 4th step and getting to the area of relationships and telling my sponsor, okay, first there was Brenda. He said, hold it. I don't even want to hear about this. What do you mean you don't want to hear about this? This is my 4th step. This is that area of relationships. I'm telling you, he said, listen, I'm not voyeuristic. I don't want to peep into your love life. The only question I want to know is how did you manage to confuse all them women with God? And so if somebody's in the room identifying themselves with their behavior, that's wrong. I'm Wanda, I'm an addict, and I'm a hoe. No, you're not. Now you may have a double set of works, Wanda, that you use to your best advantage when you were active. But we don't identify ourselves with the behavior we practice. Look, on page 78, and just for the day, it says, when we used, our behavior was dictated by the needs of our addiction. Many of us, that means it's not a requirement. Many of us still identify our personalities closely with the behavior we practice while using, leading us to feel shame and despair. Today, we don't have to be the people we once were, shaped by our addiction, because recovery has allowed us to change. Watch this. Same page, 78 in the basic text, makes the same point. And it says, many of us, meaning it's not a requirement, had difficulty coming into the fellowship because we did not understand that we have the disease of addiction. And we sometimes see our past behavior as part of ourselves and not part of our disease. Sponsorship is supposed to help people focus on getting better with the disease of addiction. It really doesn't matter where you got on the addiction merry-go-round. A good sponsor will help you get better. There is nothing new under the sun that you may have done in recovery or in active addiction. And a good sponsor will help you get in touch with that. A good sponsor will keep you from focusing on your clean date as the date when active addiction stopped. You could be active as hell with an old ass clean date. Good addicts don't even need drugs to use. Why? Because we're dealing with the disease of addiction, which is a sick or pathological relationship to any mind or mood-altering experience with life-damaging consequences. Should a man sponsor a woman? The last line in Recovery and Relapse says the following. With the help of our sponsor or spiritual advisor, gradually we learn to trust and depend on our higher power. Now it says an either or proposition for a reason. It says with the help of our sponsor or spiritual advisor, right? What is my point? My point is that as a man, I might spiritually advise a woman, right? But I'm not supposed to stand for non-existent virtues. And I'm not supposed to think, you know, I'm such a hell of a guy that I can help you with your menopause. I'm no ordinary spook. If you got post-pregnancy some shit, see, I don't even know the term. But it's something that women go through sometimes after they have a baby and they get depressed. I'm not supposed to, as a man, act like I got something for that. I ain't never had no damn baby. I made babies, but I ain't never had one. I ain't never got depressed after none of that. So why should my ego be so inflated that I have to act like I'm that guy? I got something for men. I got something for you women too. No matter what you going through, I'm your man. That's not what this program says. If you look in It Works How and Why, it says the ways in which we carry the message are as varied as our members. There are, however, some basic guidelines that we as a fellowship have found to be helpful. First and foremost, we share our experience, strength, and hope. This means that we share our experience, not the theories we've heard from other sources. This also means that we share our own experience, not someone else's. It's not our job to tell someone seeking recovery where to work, who to live with, how to raise their children, or anything else outside the realm of our experience with recovery. Someone we're trying to help may have problems in these areas. We can help best not by managing that particular person's life, but by sharing our own experience in those areas. So if I don't have any experience in a particular area, I can't hold myself out as, you know, I'm that 2007 version of a sponsor. I got something for men, and you don't have nothing for women in certain areas. Now, if you want to spiritually advise a sister, that's fine. The literature says you can do it. But you don't have to be so puffed up with yourself as a man that you think you got something for everything a woman can go through. Conversely, you don't have to be so full of yourself as a woman that you think you got something for the fellas. And that's just the beautiful truth. Honesty is the linchpin of this program. You can fool the baker and get another bun, but you fool yourself, you wind up with none. That's very important. It's very important. Now, also, look. If you got a sponsor and you ain't working those steps, God bless you. But don't be calling me up if you ain't willing to work on nothing. because it talks about it in our program. You know, we're supposed to come in here and get better. Think you can just, I got sponsors want to call me up with the same. Now, listen, all flowers don't bloom at the same time. I get that, I understand that. But if you ain't willing to work these steps, then you just multiphasing. You coming out there not really tried. You are acting like you want to recover, but you, not really. Not really, because you ain't working those steps. And if you're not working any steps, you're not recovering. I'm sorry, that's just the beautiful truth. That's just the way that is. If you're not working any steps, you are stepping on the wire. No. Listen, I want to talk about something that's real important, going back to my point about orientation, because that orientation piece really comes up, particularly when you start getting to certain steps like 4 and 8 and stuff like that. This is where that becomes very, very important, because you know, our literature wasn't written by rocket scientists. So, as a result of that, there are 2 different philosophies all throughout our literature running side by side. One philosophy is psychoanalytical or Freudian. In a word, it's past-oriented. It says, just write about anything that ever happened to you. If you could think of it, write it down and we'll get into it. The other philosophy is just for the day philosophy, where we say, we're not interested in how much you had, who your connections were, how much, how little. Just what do you want to do about your problems, how can we help? We have a whole chapter called Just for the Day. Now, the reason I mention the fact that we have these 2 competing philosophies is because one of them is the preferred and the other one is not. And if you don't have a good sponsor, you will be hanging out in the one that you're not supposed to be and wondering why you having problems. The 4th step is the only step that tells you what the purpose of it is and what the purpose of it is not. No other step does that. That's just how important this point I'm making is. And in the 4th step, it says, some of us, again, that's not a requirement, it's letting you know, some of us make the mistake of approaching the 4th step as if it were a confession of how horrible we are. What a bad person we have been. See, that's that past stuff. And this new way of life, a binge of emotional sorrow, can be dangerous. This is not the purpose of the 4th step. The very first line of that step says, the purpose of the 4th step, the purpose of a searching and fearless moral inventory is to sort through the confusion and the contradiction of our lives. A lot of times, if you don't have the proper orientation on sponsorship, you won't be sorting spiritually through the confusion and contradiction of your life. You will be sponsored by someone who wants you to go back in the thrilling days of yesteryear and dig deep, get honest, dig deep. And this is not somebody who's professionally trained or anything like that. Don't know what to do with all that stuff you bring up. Just want you to go and get it. And then you go and you get it and you dig down real, real deep to some gut-wrenching stuff, only to look at them and they saying, damn. Damn, that's some deep shit. What you mean that? Damn, that's some deep stuff. What am I supposed to do with that? I don't know. I ain't no professional or nothing. So I mention that just to say that, listen, you have to be very careful with the orientation you give somebody, because you could take somebody back to some place that you can't bring them back from, you know? And this is a spiritual journey, and I just want to reemphasize that the goal here is to learn how to become happy, joyous, and free now. Now. Right now. We're not here to mortgage our happiness anymore. We are people who have had our lives on hold for big chunks of time. That's over with. This is a spiritual journey. I'm here to reclaim my birthright. God made each and every one of us in the very best of molds. And you can't use the fact that you're an addict to stay stuck like Chuck anymore. That's our diagnosis. It's not our sentence. We're some of the most beautiful people in the world. And if we continue on this spiritual journey, it gets better and better and better. And we wake up spiritually refreshed and glad to be alive, happy, joyous, and free, and just want to sing. And that's what a good sponsor is supposed to do. It's supposed to bring you into the light. It's supposed to help you let your light shine. It's supposed to get you past all the muck and the mire and all the stuff that blocked you and held you a prisoner in your own thinking, in your own feeling. It's supposed to raise up your self-esteem, raise up your self-worth, help you learn how to love yourself. Not just theoretically and in the abstract, I mean for real. Love is time, attention, and discipline. Do you spend time with yourself? Can you even stand yourself? Are you still running like a jackrabbit in recovery? Because you dare not get still even for a second, because then you might have to deal with self. Are you paying attention to yourself? Do you eat right? Do you get enough rest? Do you take your ass to the doctor? I'm sharing this, and I'm going to share this and shut it down because I'm out of time. Listen, if you're lucky enough and blessed enough and fortunate enough and privileged enough to be around here for a while, listen, recovery changes. Recovery changes. What constitutes recovery does not stay the same for you once you've been here and been blessed for a while. We say 90 meetings is a great idea in the beginning. Now, what'll happen is this. You'll feel it, you'll be here, and you'll feel like you're in a tug of war. I need to go to a meeting. No, I don't. I need to go to a meeting. No, I need to get a life. I need to go to a meeting. I need to get a life. Where you going? I'm going to a meeting. Well, what about life? Listen, you like them VCRs? You like them TVs? Better leave me alone. Got to go to a meeting. I'll go to a meeting. We're going to have everything must go sale. Got to go to a meeting. And the little baby's crying. Daddy, help me with my homework. You like this roof over your head? Huh? You like them food in the freezer? You better let me go to a meeting. You don't have none of this if I don't go to a meeting. That's not how it works. What happens is this. The test of recovery changes after you are here for a while. And the new test becomes whether or not after having been here for the period